It's dark, it's after 10 o'clock at night, and a young teenage girl is walking to her car alone to a parking lot that's dimly lit. She gets to the car, she tries to turn it on, and the car doesn't start. She heard this clicking sound, click, 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 click. She tries it again, nothing. So she thinks for a second, okay, well, I'll just call my father and he'll come fix it. So she pulls out her phone and she realizes that she has no more battery left in her phone because she's been texting and posting on Facebook all day and her phone is dead. So now a little bit of panic sets in. She's like, wow, how am I gonna get home? How am I gonna get my car? What's my dad going to say? And then out of nowhere, somebody pulls up next to her. And a man gets out of the car and he's vaguely familiar to her. And he comes up to her and he asks if there was anything wrong. She tells him about the car. And he doesn't have the equipment to help jumpstart the car, but he does the next best thing and he lets her use his phone to basically call her father. So I get the phone call, Dad, something's wrong with the car. Can you please come? And I'm like, okay, like stay in your car. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I get there and turns out when you leave your lights on, your battery's gonna die. So I jumped out the car, it's on, and I thanked the gentleman for staying there with her, and I followed my daughter home. And on the way home, I'm thinking to myself, why did this gentleman do this? He didn't know my daughter. He knows me a little bit, but not enough to call me a friend. And I was really thinking about why he would have chosen to do this. Because he had to be observant, recognize that there was a potential problem that she couldn't start her car, and then he had to make a decision to act. He said, hey, I'm gonna drive over there and see if I can help out in some way. And even when he couldn't, he did the next best thing and said, here, use my cell phone. And then he chose to stay with her to make sure that she was gonna be okay, or simply to make sure that she wouldn't be afraid. And I thought about this on the way home, and I thought, you know, why would this gentleman do this? And the only conclusion that I could come up with is that he's just a good man trying to do a good deed. And I thought to myself, you know, it made me happy that this exists in the world, and that someone would want to try and bestow this act of kindness on myself and my daughter. And I committed to myself that day that I needed to do more of the same. And I was thinking about other acts of kindness that other people had done for me in my life that maybe I didn't necessarily recognize it for what it was. And so that night I vowed to do something like that for a total stranger at least once a month. And so my opportunity came up about 2 weeks later. I was at a shopping mall in Brea, and I was next to a car, and I was about to get into my car, and I heard that familiar click, 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 click sound, right? And I thought, okay, it sounds like a dead battery. And there was a woman in the car, and she seemed a little exasperated. And so I get out of the car, and to make matters worse, it's raining, and it's not raining lightly, it was raining kind of heavy. And inside the car, she has 2 young kids who are not happy about something, and they're letting their thoughts be known. And so I knocked on the window and I offered to help, and she accepts, and it started raining much heavier than I thought. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I gotta take care of this as quickly as possible, and I'm getting really wet. And so I get the car started, it's great. And I go back and I knock on the window, tell her, you know, car's all set, give her some advice about maybe what not to do, what to do. And so she can see that I'm soaked and my shirt's all wet, and she offers me money for my trouble. And I politely refuse, and I say no, and I just briefly tell her that somebody did a favor for my daughter, and I felt the need to basically pass on that favor, and I encouraged her to do the same to someone in her life. And she smiled and she drove away. And so I get in my car, not terribly happy that I'm soaked, and And I'm thinking about what just took place, and what occurred to me is that I felt very happy. I felt happy that I was able to do this for this woman and her children, and you know, that they were going to get home safely and not be stuck someplace. And I thought about the idea that I need to do this more often. I felt happy about the fact that I was able to create some positive energy in the world, and hopefully what that means is that person's going to perpetuate this to others. And you know, I don't know why, I'm always thinking about these things in my car when I'm driving. And I just thought about how important that is for us to think about that, because in life there are lots of people that perpetuate negativity, a harsh word, you know, a terrible look. You know, we're driving and it's so easy for somebody to let us in, but they speed up so you can't get over, and that changes the trajectory of your whole day. And so I thought about, and I committed myself to basically doing that. And I've performed random acts of kindness for people that I don't know, typically about once a month. And it doesn't have to be big things. You know, in some cases, I've spent money to do things, but you don't have to. You really, truly don't have to. And I would like to challenge everybody today to commit to doing a random act of kindness for somebody that you don't know. It's easy to do it for family and for friends, but for somebody that you don't know, I would challenge you to do that. And it doesn't have to be something big. Sometimes it can just be simply showing more patience for somebody than maybe they deserve at that moment in time, or maybe helping somebody take something into a house or a building or a car, or even just saying hello and bringing somebody a cup of coffee or a bottle of water. I truly believe in the power of positive energy, and I would challenge you to help make our world a better place.
A lot of time when we are driving on, especially on freeway, it does require a lot of patience.